As the federal government shutdown enters its seventh day, staffing issues are already being felt at some of the nation's airports. And today marks the second anniversary of Hamas's attack on Israel and the beginning of the war in Gaza. Good morning, I'm Corva Coleman from NPR News, and here are today's top stories. This is the seventh day of the federal government shutdown. Now, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy is warning of staffing issues at the nation's airports, as NPR's Giles Snyder reports.
Secretary Duffy says controllers are already dealing with a persistent staffing shortage and outdated equipment. Now they're on track to miss their first paycheck.
Now what they think about as they're controlling our airspace is, how am I going to pay my mortgage? How do I make my car payment? I have a couple kids at home. How do I put food on the table?
Duffy met with controllers at Newark Liberty International Airport, saying some have begun calling in sick. The FAA says staffing issues are causing delays at airports, including Newark, Phoenix, and Denver. In California, controllers more than 100 miles away in San Diego handled air traffic at the Hollywood Burbank Airport Monday evening because there weren't enough controllers to staff the tower. Giles Snyder, NPR News.
The state of Illinois and the city of Chicago are suing the Trump administration. They're trying to stop the deployment of National Guard troops from Illinois and from Texas to Chicago. President Trump says it's needed to fight crime. He's suggested he could invoke the Insurrection Act.
Well, I'd do it if it was necessary. So far, it hasn't been necessary, but we have an Insurrection Act for a reason. If I had to enact it, I'd do that. If people were being killed and courts were holding us up, or governors or mayors were holding us up, sure, I'd do that. I mean, I want to make sure that people aren't killed. We have to make sure that our cities are safe.
But Trump has been blocked by a federal judge in Oregon from deploying any National Guard troops to Oregon. And Oregon Governor Tina Kotek says there is no national emergency in her state to address. Israel is marking the second anniversary of the Hamas-led attack on Israel. Hamas militants killed nearly 1,200 people and abducted 251 others. The Israeli military responded by opening its war in Gaza. Since then, some 67,000 Palestinians have been killed by the Israeli military. NPR's Emily Fang has more on the war's effect in the Palestinian enclave.
Gaza's Ministry of Health said this week about 30% of those killed so far in this war are children. This has been the most deadly and destructive war the Palestinian enclave has ever been subjected to. NPR's reporter in Gaza, Anas Baba, spoke to 22-year-old Ahmed Abu Saif. Saif said in Gaza, for us, it's going to be very painful to rebuild. He says for him, the last 2 years of war have turned his life from that of a normal university student to one where he is constantly looking for water, shelter, and fearing for his family's lives. Emily Fang, NPR News, Tel Aviv.
The U.S. Supreme Court hears arguments today in a case about conversion therapy. NPR's Nina Totenberg reports the case could invalidate laws in half of U.S. states.
Conversion therapy, promoted by some conservative Christian groups, is banned for minors by half the states and staunchly opposed as harmful for minors by every major medical association. But today, lawyers for a Colorado therapist will tell the justices that because she uses only talk therapy, banning the practice violates the Constitution's free speech guarantee. Last term, the High Court upheld state laws that banned the use of hormones and other measures to help minors change their sex. Today, the shoe is on the other foot, so to speak, with a different group of states contending that they ban conversion therapy because it doesn't work and has proven harmful to minors. Nina Totenberg, NPR News, Washington.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has added more to its guidance about the COVID-19 vaccine. The CDC accepted the recommendations from a panel of advisors, some of whom are vaccine skeptics. The guidance now says that people getting a COVID shot need to also consult with their doctor or pharmacist. Louisiana Republican Senator Bill Cassidy, a physician, says this ultimately means more people won't be able to get the COVID shot.
It is not science. It's not what's good for America. It's not making America healthy again. It's how do we screw with the American people's health because we have a prejudice against this vaccine. That's what it's about.
The CDC also adopted another recommendation. It makes it more complicated for some parents to get their babies vaccinated against measles, mumps, rubella, and chickenpox. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi is testifying before the Senate Judiciary Committee. Lawmakers are asking her about controversy and turmoil at the Justice Department. Bondi and her top aides have fired several career prosecutors who worked on the Capitol riot cases or investigated President Trump. Bondi defended her record since taking office.
We are returning to our core mission of fighting real crime. While there is more work to do, I believe in 8 short months, we have made tremendous progress towards those ends.
But Bondi is also accused of using her agency for political purposes. Her testimony comes less than 2 weeks after the Justice Department got an indictment against former FBI Director James Comey. President Trump has been demanding that Bondi take legal action against Comey. President Trump has ordered the building of a road in a roadless area of Arctic Alaska. This would stretch for more than 200 miles. The road would permit new mining of minerals such as copper, cobalt, and others. This order is controversial. Local Alaskans who live off of the land say the building and mining will endanger fish and caribou migrations. Costco shoppers can now add something new to their carts, the blockbuster obesity drug Wegovy. They can get it at the Costco pharmacy or online for around $500 a month. NPR's Sydney Lupkin has more.
Discounted Wegovy is now available to Costco members, as long as they're not using their health insurance. With insurance, however, the drug's copay is often less expensive. The discount program is similar to what the drug's maker, Novo Nordisk, already offers on its website. The company launched discounted Wegovy on its direct-to-consumer platform, NovoCare, and partnered with several telehealth companies last spring. That allowed Novo Nordisk to compete with telehealth companies offering compounded obesity drugs during the Wegovy shortage. The compounded medicines, which aren't usually covered by insurance, were available for a fraction of Wegovy's sticker price of around $1,400 a month. Sydney Lupkin, NPR News.
This year's Nobel Prize in Physics has been awarded to 3 University of California scientists. Their work demonstrated quantum mechanical effects in electrical circuits. NPR's Nell Greenfield-Boyce explains this could aid the development of future quantum technologies, such as better computers.
The 3 researchers who won the prize are John Clark, Michel Devereux, and John Martinez. In the mid-1980s, they did experiments that showed how a subatomic phenomenon, quantum tunneling, can be observed on a macroscopic scale, involving many particles on a chip. At a press briefing, Clark said he was stunned that they won.
We had not realized in any way that this might be the basis of a Nobel Prize.
The prize committee at the Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences said their advances could lead to the next generation of quantum technologies, including quantum cryptography and new kinds of sensors. Nell Greenfield-Boyce, NPR News.
And I'm Corva Coleman, NPR News from Washington.